Still sitting in a truck seat that's older than your favorite pair of work boots? Your back has been filing complaints for years. If your seat is worn out, sagging, or just plain uncomfortable, it's time for an upgrade. Head on over to seatspecialist.com. Check out their selection of quality replacement seats built to keep you comfortable mile after mile. And don't forget to use promo code TR10 4U to save 10% on your order. Seatspecialist.com, because a better ride starts with a better seat. Welcome back to That's Delivered, the podcast where trucking and transportation meet real stories that move people forward. I'm your host, Trucking Ray, and today we've got a guest that's Howard Pearl, CEO of Cars, a charitable adult rides and services. Howard leads an operation that handles nearly 100,000 vehicles donated a year and delivers tens of thousands of rides to seniors nationwide. Just like trucking, Cars is all about logistics, reliability, and making sure people and resources get where they need to go. We're going to dive into how it scaled Cars into a nonprofit powerhouse and the challenges that is leading both business discipline and compassion, and what trucking leaders can learn from this approach. Howard, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on. How you doing today?
I'm doing just fantastic. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome.
Trucking Ray, huh?
Yeah, Trucking Ray.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. My friends, they say, "Hey, man, we should use that," and it's always great when someone else gives you a name. So I'll take it.
I agree.
Yeah. So, you've done a lot out there. I mean, you shared a lot with me backstage before we got on here. Man, just talk about your experiences. How did you get started and to what you are today? I mean, you're leading a nonprofit around the world to serve the Canadians and all those around. So, how did you get started with all that?
I never intended. I never intended to work at a nonprofit. Didn't start out that way, but 10 years ago, I was sort of tapped on the shoulder. They needed some help to change out management. And I had just returned from China. I'd been working in China for 5 years, building a plant to build rough terrain vehicles, mostly emergency recovery vehicles, rock crawlers, some of it for fun, and some of it for you, some of it for utility. I was asked to come in and give these guys a little bit of help. And I had no intention of staying here. I didn't know anything about nonprofit, but I knew enough to, hold the business together and hire a guy. I figured 45 to 90 days. And when I got in here, I found two things that inspired me. One was the existing staff. It was a small staff at the time. They were incredible. They'd been terribly mismanaged by the individual that I was being asked to replace on a short-term basis so we could hire somebody. But they were really incredible people. They really knew what they were doing. They just weren't being allowed to do it, which we find so often in businesses where the boss wants to be the boss as opposed to letting people run the business that really know how to run the business.
Awesome. Was there something in your early days? I mean, we talked about how you were able to do some trucking back in the day and you still have that in your heart. Was some of that play a role as leadership?
Oh my God, it absolutely. Are you kidding? Look, the things I learned on the road still work to this very day. I started off, I worked my way through school. I did a lot of trucking. I had worked with another guy. We got a couple of contracts with PepsiCo. We were dragging mobile homes up the highway. Got up even onto some of the ice roads up as far as Matagami, Quebec, up to the Quebec Hydro Project there, way up in northern Canada. Hauling those ATCO trailers in there to build the work camps for Samard Beaudry for the construction camps. That was kind of fun. And in between, placing people's homes, moving mobile homes. So that was, and I got that job because the guy I was working with, he and I drove tow truck together for, one of the services in the city that I lived in. They had the police contract, so we got to do, a lot of interesting stuff on the freeways, the rollovers and crashes and, God knows what. And then, the regular everyday, pickup and delivery, the sort of boring stuff in between that you have to do. But you begin to realize that the boring stuff isn't so boring, right? That's commerce. You're moving somebody's product from one place to another, whether it's a car that needs to get in for repair, or whether you're picking up a vehicle that's being donated. So in the business I'm in now, really understanding the tow business and understand the challenges that they face and understanding the guys that drive tow trucks, an interesting breed. We're picking up 8,000 to 10,000 cars a month.
Wow.
And delivering them to 300 different auction yards across the country, right? We're national, in Alaska to Hawaii and everything in between. And when we got to get them picked up, you got to get them picked up. People donate a vehicle. They want those things picked up in 24 to 48 hours. They're not going to sit around and wait. If you don't pick it up, they'll give it to somebody else.
Right.
So you've got to pick it up. We, represent almost 11,000, a little under 11,000 nonprofits. And they expect us to express gratitude. They expect when that driver shows up at the door that he expresses gratitude. Pardon me, that he's polite. And they're not always that way. Sometimes the hands aren't so clean. And, they're working men and women, and so I can't get real upset with them. I just have to try and educate them. And I think what I learned in my days on the road, not just the technical skills, because God knows we handle a lot of things that happen from between A and B, but everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves the same amount of respect. The people that work for you, the people that work with you, and the people you're working for. And if you can't understand that, then I don't know how you're ever going to get along in life.
Yeah.
Real simple.
Some great fundamentals, some great, things to be characteristics that we should have as part of everyday life. So that's
I
great.
think it is. I think we have to understand that everything you do has to have a value attached to it, either for your own self-respect or for, for the person you're providing a service for. I think that's what keeps you on top. That's what'll get you to the top. Just outservice the next guy, right? Lots of reasons to get upset, but the smarter play is to just kind of chill, let it move on, be respectful, be the guy that isn't a pain in the ass, right?
Absolutely. I mean, to help a lot of people out there, I mean, you're providing a great service. Walk us through the vehicle donation process, and from someone giving up their car to a nonprofit receiving the benefit. Tell us a little bit about that. What goes on?
Sure. It's actually the underbelly of it is like every other logistics challenge. Far more complex than it seems on the outside. I say complex, not complicated. It's just a series of simple executions, but they all got to come together. So if an individual had a vehicle that they wanted to donate, and people donate vehicles for a number of different reasons. People think everybody donates them for their tax benefits. I believe that's number 4 on the reason why people donate a vehicle. The number one reason, what do you think? What do you think the number one reason is that people donate a vehicle?
They kind of think about when there's a time that they probably needed that. Someone helped them. So here's their opportunity for them to do the same.
Well, I think that's a wonderful reason. That's one of the reasons. But the number one reason people donate their vehicles, they want to get it out of their driveway, get it out of the garage, get it off the lawn, get that tree stump that's in the middle of it so they can cut it down. That's the number one reason.
They need the space. There's a lot of storage units going in out there. So I can understand that. You don't want to pay for storage, so give it to someone else.
Yeah, and it's a myriad of reasons. I mean, you wouldn't think a lot of people want to give their cars, but kids grow up. You don't need that extra van anymore. They're all gone off to work or gone off to school or got married, or your spouse has passed away and the second car is sitting in the driveway. Finally, there's spider webs growing between the tires and the concrete. It's just time to get that eyesore out of there, or maybe it was a collectible that the old man was working on in the garage but never finished. And, the old lady's saying he loved that thing more than he loved me, and he never finished that either. So get it out of here. All kinds of reasons. Or you've got a spare vehicle, you bought a new one, you didn't want to trade it in because they weren't going to give you enough for it. You didn't want to go meet a stranger in a parking lot, get a chance of being, lit on fire like the guy with his half-ton truck there a few years ago. And you want to do something nice for somebody in your community, whether it's a small nonprofit that looks after animal rescue or whether it's somebody like St. Jude Children's Research Hospital or Shriners or something somewhere along those lines. Because we have a nonprofit for everybody. If you go to our site, or even if you go to Kelly Blue Book, there's a tile there that says donate. You hit that, it comes to our site.
That's awesome.
And there's thousands of them. You can choose by geographic location or by subject matter. Maybe you're interested in three-legged dogs with striped tails. There's probably one there for it. So
that's awesome.
And then so you call in and you give your information to a wonderful donation receptionist who's basically trained to express gratitude for your gift, or you go online and you do it. And when we get that order, we dispatch a tow truck. And we'll dispatch a tow truck from the nearest auction yard that we use.
Okay.
Again, logistics. We want to move it the shortest possible distance, right? Every mile you move it costs you money. So we go pick it up, goes to the auction yard, and generally it gets an inspection. We publish the things that are good about the car. We publish the things that are bad about the car, and then the auction goes online. We have several auctions every week. There's an auction going on every day across the country at most auctions, and usually they're wholesale auctions. So we sell to the guys that use car lots, the guys that buy here, sell here, or buy here, finance here, those things. Believe it or not, most of the vehicles that are donated aren't junk. Everybody thinks people only donate the crap, right? There's stuff that goes for recycle or dismantle. That's not the case. I'd say that 80% of the vehicles that are donated to us we are able to resell, either into a third world, or it gets gets a little tune up here and there, and then gets put back on the road. Normal people. I say normal people that people whose collars are usually a little wider. Basically think when your car hits 49, 50,000, that thing's ready for the junk pile. You and I both know it's got another 150,000 miles on it. If you just change the oil every now and again, right? Put a set of tires on it, maybe you got to put a battery. That's it. Don't have to do much. They're American made. The Japanese are pretty good vehicles. So that's we like to recycle. We like to give them to people that can't afford a new car, and so you get an 8-year-old car with 50 or 60,000 miles on it, and that thing is still running well. And a lot of our donors come from a more white collar environment, so they've got options on it that you might not normally buy, and so the thing is a little older, but it's reliable. And we got people these days. One of the sort of phenomenon is that particularly with immigrant families, 3 or 4 families that live in a cluster will come together and they'll buy one car, and they all use it to go shopping on the same day, or to go to the laundry, or to do whatever it is they do, and they share the unit. And it becomes and so these things provide a great service and a great recycle. And then what happens is the auction yard sends us the proceeds, and we send 80% of that money to the nonprofit that the car was donated to. 10% comes to us for our operating expenses, and the other 10%, we are also a nonprofit, and we support a large social service program here in San Diego. We feed the homeless. We have 8 safe parking lots for people who are sleeping in their cars to stay in at night, so they're not don't get in trouble with the law, or people aren't coming by and robbing them at night, or taking advantage of their daughters. It's not safe to be sleeping out there at night on the street. So we provide secure areas for them to do that, and food pantry programs for food insecurity and so on. And that's what we do. So 100% of our money basically goes to a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit that's owned by a nonprofit, 111, I think, 110, 111-year-old. And we only work for nonprofits. So 100 cents on our dollar, other than goes for our salaries, but that's, we work for a nonprofit. So we're not talking getting rich here, but the work is good. The work is good, and it's very gratifying.
Wow, that's huge. Thank you. Thank you for doing that, making that available. I mean, that is something that we see at a lot of truck stops. People sleeping in their cars. I work at night shift a lot of times, and you see that. You see individuals out there doing things, whether it's a sacrifice or it's just a hardship. They're in that point at their life, and you're helping them. So, great job.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think the most intriguing thing to me is, you get into those yards and you talk to some of those folks, right? Especially in the summer nights when it's late, and you go in and you start chatting with people. They're you and me that the company closed down or you lost your job or whatever, and 4 months in you can't pay the rent, you're out of money, right? Maybe you got 2-3 months worth of money, you borrowed, your credit cards are maxed. Where are you going to go? You got that Kia SUV, a big Sportage there. That becomes your living room, your bedroom, place for the dog to sleep. All of it. It's amazing, but it's amazing. And yet they show up with, courage and try and maintain their dignity. And they get up in the morning, and the kid will go into we have the place where they can pack their lunches and that sort of stuff. The local Starbucks here donate all the food that they don't sell at the end of the day, so it's on the shelves by morning. So some of these kids will go in there and grab a couple of Starbucks things and go to school with those things. You'd never know they were living in their cars. Dad goes to work.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and they have to work with a counselor to try and get them back into a home, into some form of housing. So it's very gratifying. We also take in real estate, and we take in stocks and stock certificates and so a lot of other things as well. But basically, that's what we do. We serve we serve that community.
That's amazing.
Yeah, cool.
Great stories. I mean, that you can have and hold dear to your heart. Many people go through rough times. You never say never. It could be anybody that could be in that position. So if we could help someone out when they're vulnerable, I mean, that's huge. That's a lot of what trucking is about, is helping people get what they need, getting the goods and services that they deserve. So that's nice.
It's unfortunate people don't really recognize that. They don't. I don't think people get it. And one of my best employees here, one of the longest serving guys, was a long haul guy. Ryan Caldwell. He's our VP of, we don't call it logistics, but basically his job is in fact logistics. And sometimes we laugh. We compare stories because we were on the road about the same time, and we talk about the fools that are on the road, and they just they think most of us are just not real thinking creatures.
Yeah.
But they you can be an idiot and you can be a professional. It doesn't matter what the profession is. But I'll tell you what, they don't understand. They couldn't survive without a truck.
Yeah.
You can't.
I'm grateful to be a part of that network and be able to still perform. But yeah, it does hurt your heart when you hear about those bad stories in the industry. People are losing a lot more respect for truck driving if they didn't have it already. It's there's another idiot on the road hurting people. So we hope we can change that in the future and stop the decline. That'd be great if we could do that. So more effort needs to be put forth in those efforts like you're doing. So good job.
You learn a lot of things on the road, right? You learn a lot of basic life skills. Just, 95% of the time it's, and then those 5%, you run into somebody that's stuck on the road or a crash or fire or, stuck when it's you can't get up that hill and you're stuck there in the snow and looking at the fuel gauge and thinking,
Yeah.
it's there are a lot of lessons.
Day. Just starting out. It could be
Yeah.
a bad long day. Yeah. So I mean, thinking about too, a lot of things that you're doing, makes an impact for a lot of people. Do you have any stories or any individuals that you could think of that you've helped, like with the seniors? I mean, that on the go rides program, it makes a huge
program. Yeah. Well, we started the on the go program. That's the basis of who we are. We took it up to a place where we were serving 300 cities across the country, and then because it was really starting to become, the tail was starting to wag the dog, we moved the program. It's still in our building, but we moved the management of the program upwards to JFS, who's our parent, and let them manage the program. So, because our vehicle donation program has expanded so much, and the real estate program and all the rest of it, and when the government decided to defund NPR, we have about just under somewhere around 550, 570 NPR stations across the country that we serve. So we got very, very busy serving that market, and so while we still operate the program here, we've moved the management of that program sort of upstream right now. But it's one of my favorite programs. Basically, a lot of it's funded by municipal, county, or state governments. And it's exactly what it says it is. It's just those people that either can't afford it or are unable to manage their transportation, are given access to a program where the government covers the cost of getting them to and from not just medical appointments, right, but grocery shopping. But also what we've learned over the years is that socialization is just as important to your health as anything else. You can't be stuck in your house all the time. You got to be able to take one of those things over to a relative's house so you can have a Christmas dinner or something along those lines. And I don't know about you, but I'm hoping to live independently, as long as possible. And I don't want to be calling my kids and saying I need to go shopping for my groceries, or I want somebody to be, grocery shopping for me and delivering them in a bag to my step. I want to go and pick up my own oranges or tomatoes maybe once a month or something, and get out. Or look at how important is it to get your hair cut or get your beard trimmed, or my own mother, I remember one of the last things she wanted to do before she passed was she said, look, I like this place and all, but she said, these sons of I'll replace this, these sons of unwed mothers, they don't always get me to my hair appointment, and I got, I'm not feeling well this week. I'm not going to meet my maker with roots. You tell him to get me to my hair appointment. That was on a Monday. On Wednesday, they did take her to her hair appointment.
Okay.
She passed away that Friday.
Wow.
She got, her hair was all done up. She put on her robe, the quilted robes they put on with the rosettes on. She lay down on her bed, and that was that. See it? Wow. A little rouge on her cheeks, and that was it. So I'm ready.
She's a tough lady. Sorry for your loss, and definitely had individuals like that in their life. Those tough individuals, man, they definitely make an impression on us forever. So, yeah.
I think our grandparents, I say that because I'm a little older than you, so my parents would be about your grandparents' age. And I think they, they were hardier than we are. They did life without push buttons.
Yeah.
You want water?
I had to go out and Absolutely. Yeah. Those are I got like the last bit of that, being able to see that, go out there and get the water and you pump it. I'm like, hey, it comes out of the ground. Wow. So there's a lot of things that we take for granted. You're right, especially when all we do is scroll or swipe right or left, and
oh my,
Yeah, it's getting to be over the top. There's more to come too. I guess they're not stopping. They're just out there
Well,
coding away.
this whole AI is really quite incredible. We use a fair bit of it here, and certainly we will use more. Um, and what we've done is that instead of letting people go, we take everybody that's being replaced with some of the services that the AI replaces, and we just retrain them, put them into other jobs. So all of a sudden now they know how to do something else. But you can't take good people that have been with you a long time and say, well, you used to drive a NASCAR. We can't hire you because these are right turns. We just take them over here and show them how to turn right. Well,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe nonprofits is going to be the way of the future. Being able to give back and people can actually connect better with the human element instead of being so detached from individuals. Maybe we're going to create a more caring generation in the future ahead. The opposite of what we got.
From your mouth to God's ears, we could use a little more compassion.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much to be civil. Doesn't take much to be decent to people. Doesn't take much. I mean, I've been very fortunate in my life. I've had a number of careers, mostly automotive or transportation related. And, I don't want to get all spiritual or anything, but I'm telling you, you take any eight of the 10 commandments. I don't care. Pick any eight you want. Live by those. You'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
You don't even need to do all 10, but you have to pick the right eight.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thinking about scarcity mindset in a lot of nonprofits, sometimes they get stuck in that mindset. How do you keep CARS focused on growth, innovation, instead of just survival?
Well, it's very personal. I would get bored if we just did the same thing over and over and over again, right? I don't just want a job. I want an opportunity to grow and to train people to be different or better. Most of my senior staff, we're about 190 people altogether here. My senior staff has been with me for almost, I've been here a little over, like I said, it was a 45 to 90 day assignment. I'll be on 10 and a half years now. Because the mission, you can't help but get passionate about the mission, doing what we're doing. I didn't realize most of the things I did in my life were really of service, but I didn't realize that until I was in a business that being of service was the major point of the business, right? I mean, look, you're moving things from A to B, you're performing a service, you're getting the goods where they need to be. But you don't think of it as having a servant's heart. You don't think of it as being in service to your community. Although you're getting the food onto the damn shelves, right? You're getting the parts, to where they need to be. People can build things and earn a living. You don't think of it until you're in the business of feeding people or housing people or giving them an opportunity to drive from here to there and have a life that is socially enriched. But the truth is, it's all the same. Your own. What I've discovered at the ripe old age I've arrived at is that your rewards in life are in direct proportion to the amount of service you provide to your fellow man. And by man, I mean mankind, men, women. I don't sort of distinguish any, I'm not trying to be all DEI. I just people are people, right? So when I say mankind, and I think that people forget that, an act of kindness doesn't go unnoticed. And if it does, it's okay. Be thankful to yourself that you're that kind of person, that it doesn't matter. I think that's what it is. In all the businesses I've been in, I think the success that we've had, taking them public and so on, and building vehicles that do things, I think we've been relatively successful. And I think there's two reasons for it. Whatever you do, well, one, do for the greater glory, but for the most part, just do what you're doing well. Do it as if it was being done for you. What do you want? I want my stuff. When do I want it? I want it now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that stuff.
It's all about the stuff.
Oh man, we get so passionate about it, and like I said, we can't take it with us if you're thinking about what transition you're going to be going into. I mean, that's it's so important now, but it doesn't matter later. Um,
Well,
but you think about those tough decisions you make when you think about compassion, when you think about discipline that you're doing as a leader, um, tough decisions that you've had to make to balance the business efficiently or to be effective with serving people. Can you share an example of you had a tough decision and you're able to get through it with those principles and compassion?
well, yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, every business has to support itself. It has to be profitable. And that's the nature of the business. That's what business is. And, so, we've added other divisions. We've added different products and stuff. We experiment with them. That's how we grow. And that's how we serve a wider and a greater community, picking out those technologies, as part of the job. So when you move to a new technology, you have a tough choice, right? Sometimes you have people that don't necessarily adapt. So when I say we move to a new technology, we say, okay, don't do that anymore because the machinery does that, technology does that. We're gonna get you to do something else. Sometimes there are people that either can't be, or won't be, or don't want to be retrained. At the end of the day, you got to say, look, the choice is yours. You have to adapt, or you have to find some other place, to earn your living. And that's just it's the natural law. It's national, it's sort of the natural proclivity of people to do what's not, what comes to them. So I think that I'm a little different than most. Um, Even when we let people go for cause, uh, we tend to give them a bit of a package plus a day, and the extra day goes into the following month so that they can have health coverage for an extra month, give them time to catch another job, or, because Cobra is expensive if you're not working. And if you got a family, you got to keep them insured. So you can make the tough decisions and not be ruthless. You can make the tough decisions and not surrender, the need for compassion or understanding. And I'll tell you, during COVID, I went to some of the staff here and said, look, we either forego the bonuses and use that money to keep people on, or we let people go. And the team themselves looked around and said, well, who would you be letting go? Maybe it's me, or maybe it's my friend who, I've worked alongside for the last 3 or 4 years. I can do with a little less under the circumstance. And I think you have to be, aware of that.
Yeah.
And tough decisions, we all got to make them. I don't like making the difficult ones. I didn't want to move the management of On the Go to another group of people because we were really doing well with it. But it was interfering with what our major purpose is, right? Which is to fund all these nonprofits. I mean, sort it out. Our top line, is, somewhere plus or minus $100 million a year, depending on the year. 80% of that goes back into the community, so that's 70-80 million dollars a year going back into the community, plus whatever we're doing. Now that takes care of a lot of people. Unlike, Cars for Kids, the guys with that obnoxious jingle, and if you're on the road, you've heard it, you can't help but hear it. They keep all that money. They don't have to split it with the nonprofit, right? They use that to do their work. But we, our cost of goods is 80 cents on the dollar just to begin with, and then add the labor and so on. So we run a very, very lean shop, and that means some days you have to make the tough decisions. We're not going to buy that piece of equipment. We're not going to do this. But I think if you decide, look, first, you got to be practical. Second, you got to have a heart. Third, you need to balance the two of those. Neither one can ever win. 100%.
Wow. All right. Like how you said, a lot of experience goes into that answer. Thank you.
A lot of bruises.
Yeah. Yeah, that blood, sweat, and tears, that thing is real. I mean, especially when you're running a business where you're actually trying to give back to individuals, even if you have to let someone go, that's a giving because you're not holding someone in a position, allowing them to go and use their talents elsewhere.
I swear. Yeah.
So it's all how you look at it, too.
How'd you get started on a podcast?
I wanted to give, actually. Yeah, I started to had some challenges in my life, and I wanted to think about others. And this was a platform that was didn't take a lot of money to get into.
Right.
So it's an area where I can share people's stories and highlight their dreams and goals and make them the star. And I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy having conversations with people naturally. And so this was a way for me to focus on others. And I learned about podcasting. This is, man, instead of me watching the phone, watching other people, why can't I produce something that will bring joy to other people or helping other people share their joy, like yourself. So
well, I got one good story for you, because I know you were interested in sort of how you do or why you ended up in a business or one business over another.
Yeah.
I've been lucky. I've had a good career, but it has not all been roses. You can't have success without some failure. Like Mr. Edison said, I didn't fail 2,000 times. I just found 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Nice.
And once I learned how not to make it, one came along that worked.
Nice.
Right. So I ran out of things. I ran out of ways the light bulb didn't work. Right. So it all depends how you look at it. But I was running a communications firm, and I back in the sort of late 80s or mid 80s, and back then you were probably just a squirt. But were you born then? I don't know.
I was, yeah. I was born in the 70s. Yeah.
Well, you might remember the economy was pretty bad in those days. It was our first really major recession that we had sort of come across, and things were bad. Anyway, I was busy trying to do an acquisition, buy another business, and that was going to help grow. And anyway, I worked on that acquisition for 9 months. 9 months.
Wow.
While I was still operating this other little business, but this was going to really make the difference. So we were having trouble making our rent. I had to lay a bunch of people off, and there was just 3 of us left trying to service a few customers and basically literally making a living. Period. Yeah. And I went off to sign the final deal. I remember leaving the office about 11 o'clock in the morning, and met with everybody. We had a small lunch in the lawyer's office, and everybody was signing the deal. It was a pretty interesting deal. And that was great. It was kind of a celebratory time, kind of happy. And I get back to my office. It was a Friday afternoon. The doors were locked. They changed the locks. Oh. Point is, we signed the new deal, which gave us life and a new place to go on Monday. We had to crawl in through the roof light to get stuff out. And I called them and said, "Look, I had to take my stuff, but here's what's going on, and we'll get you paid over this period of time, and that sort of stuff. Could you please let us back in?" So on. You can anyway, but last day, last minute of last day, last breath, right? And something came along. And I something I learned from that was my brother was working with me at the time. He decided to be real cynical. And I decided to be real positive. And at the end of the day, if you got an idea, if you have something you're passionate about, never give up. Last minute, last day, poof. You put something out into the universe. If you put it out with a good heart, something will come back.
Wow.
And you need faith for that. You need faith. That was a valuable lesson to me on I had to make a decision. Am I going to be? I don't want to. I don't want to offend anybody on here, but are you going to turn into a cynical dick, or are you going to embrace the opportunity that's before you and be thankful for what you have and get on with the new whatever it is? And I think that's what you have to do. You have to choose. You have to choose to have faith. You have to choose to be committed, and you have to choose to genuinely appreciate and celebrate the successes and learn from the failures, because they're also successes in disguise, right? I'm not really a poetry kind of guy, but I remember Kipling, in the poem "If," in the last line it says, if you can meet success and meet with failure and treat both those imposters the same. I don't know what the rest of it is, but the idea of just, things aren't good, things aren't bad, things are just different. Just how you deal with them.
It really resonates with me. Like that, my age. So you reach certain points in your life. Like I said, you could become very cynical, or you could choose to embrace the change and make the best of it. And so, yeah, I actually am in a lot of those transitions right now. So thank you. I mean, every time I have a podcast, I get encouraged to keep going. I get an encouragement to keep doing good. So yeah, I mean, it serves a purpose right there. I mean, and I hope that other people can hear it and enjoy that same benefit that you're able to share with me. So thank you.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it will. And there's a lot of lessons we can learn from trucking or building businesses and making those tough decisions that make you a leader. Or like you say, you can either meet it with failure, or you can head on and go for it and help so many people by being the leader that you are today too. So, I mean, you've changed the game a lot. I mean, trucking companies and nonprofits, they make a difference, but depend on trust and reliability. What parallels do you see between leading cars and how trucking companies are run or should be run? What would you say to those trucking companies out there?
The bottom line is still back to something we said a little while ago, right? Your rewards in life are in direct proportion to the amount of service you provide to your fellow man. So, and basic respect for the people that you work for or that you work with, or that, or that are financing you or whatever. Look, you can say I'm just driving a truck, right? Or you can say, I'm as Brian likes to say, oh no, I wasn't a truck driver. I was a logistic relocation engineer.
I like it.
You can make what you do into the most glamorous thing in the world or the most important thing in the world. And if you don't think that somebody else is living, if you don't think that somebody else's kids are being fed by you, delivering something from A to B, you're crazy. So what do you need? You need to be honest. You need to have integrity, right? You need to fill that logbook out correctly. There's a reason we have those rules and regulations, and it may be a pain in the ass, but if you're working for a good firm, they want you to pull off to the side of the road and they want you to get your 8 off, because that means you're safe.
Yep.
You're awake and you're alert, and you're not going to kill somebody, and you're not going to kill yourself, and everybody's going home that night. More importantly, the people that trusted you with their goods, who somebody else is making a living off of, are going to get their goods.
Right.
So integrity. Know what you're doing. Know what your job is. Know the importance of your job. And if it wasn't so important, there wouldn't be so many of us on a road.
Yeah, you see that late at night when everybody else is sleeping at 3:00 and you see all the lights ahead of you, the marker lights. That's another trucker out there pulling the load, trying to get it done. So,
trying to get it done, wants to be home on a weekend, try and maybe get a little time with his kids, right? Get a little fishing in or whatever.
yeah.
And so be honest about who you are, what you're doing. Your job is as important as you think it is.
Mm.
And so that makes you as important as you think your job is and what you do. And also remember that who you are isn't what you are, right? I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a member of the community. I'm a social service guy. I'm not, I'm not the CEO of $100 million company and kiss my whatever, right? Well, I know a lot of guys that, they are their titles, horse pucky.
The titles.
Yep. I lost this job today and I needed to eat, something? I know where to put that chain underneath, and I know how to run a winch if I got to. That's physics haven't changed. I can still do a rollover if that's what I had to do. I wouldn't want to do it at my age, and I certainly wouldn't want to do it where it snows. But if that's what it was, then that's what it is.
I like it.
So know who you are versus what you are.
Nice.
I think that's important.
Get back to the basics.
Well, yeah. And the other is, look, whether you like the guy you're working for or you don't like the guy you're working for, he's putting food on your table.
There you go.
And he's making tough decisions, and he's got bills to pay of his own, and maybe he's got trouble at home. Maybe he's got prostate cancer. You'll never know. If he's having a bad day, he's having a bad day. I find that most people, that if you give them respect, they'll give you respect back, even if they're a dick. It gets hard for them not to, right? You just nice them out of their grumpiness. You know?
Yeah. There you go. Right? Compassion. I love that. Empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah. So,
that's just the basic rules of life.
Yeah.
And if you got a dream, chase it.
It's worth it, isn't it?
Oh gosh, it is so worth it. I no way in the world I knew within a week I was going to stay here.
Wow.
I wouldn't admit it to anybody, but my wife said, "What's the matter with you? You're coming home happy. What's wrong? You like the work?" So I said, "Well, yeah." She said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Well, why don't you stay?" And I've tried to retire 3 times. Last time around, I knew it took me 2.5 hours to take a pair of pants to the cleaners. I knew I'd never wear again. I said, "This is it. This is not for me. This retirement stuff is not for me." So I knew that, and the passion of doing what I was doing, the belief in doing what I was doing, and knowing that I could take, what turned out to be about 30 years in the, C-suite as a senior executive officer, to take all that knowledge that I'd learned from people much smarter than I ever was, and put it, either, put it in a box somewhere and put it in the garage, or come into an office and put it to work and train people that are younger than I am to do all of this stuff, and to apply all of the learning to growing the business, to do an acquisition, to bolt it together, to do the integration, to rise people up. They don't necessarily want another big raise. They would rather I send them off for some education, right? So I've taken people here and sent them off and sent them to executive ed and sent them back to college. And, those are life skills that whether they're with me or with somebody else, they will always take that with them, and they will make a better living, and they will grow. And so my wife said, "Well, why don't you tell them you want to stay? I'm sure you'll find that they'd be happy to keep you." And, I was, I don't know. But women are smarter than men, right? So
I tell you, man. Yeah.
Gave me a pat.
Kind of one of the questions I want to ask you is, you've accomplished a lot with cars. What makes you the most proudest? It looks like you're able to help individuals continue or further their knowledge and their life with the success that you're able to share. I mean, that's got to be something to be proud of.
I am proud of that, but what I'm most proud of is, I've produced a couple of good citizens. I've got a 34-year-old, my youngest son, who is just doing great in life. He's got good values. He's got good integrity. Works hard at a job that he likes. He's he's chasing a good living, but he's not chasing the best living over the best work and the greatest satisfaction in his life. He's a hockey broadcaster, and played hockey most of his life. He's young, God, 34, but I didn't seem so young when I was 34. It seemed like forever, but when you're looking back from this angle, it's still pretty young. But I think I'm most proud of the fact that I've been with the same woman for 38 years, and we're still happy. I still like the girl. I'm assuming she still likes me. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's still hanging out, so I guess that's okay. But I'm most proud of the fact that I've put people together that read and that vote and that are compassionate and understand the value of interacting with their fellow man with dignity. That's what I think I'm probably most proud of. And then I am also, to be quite honest, I look at my Cars family, the people that have been working with me for over 10 years, and I jump with joy that they've decided to spend so much time here, that we've made it so palatable for them to be here, so comfortable, and that they've learned stuff. They're doing, when I got here, they were doing about 30 odd million. We're doing 100 now. So they are doing 3.5, 400 times the business they were doing when I got here. And they're more relaxed. There's less stress because we brought in process, right? You guys know what ISO is. ISO 9000. We're an ISO 9001 company. We got process. Everybody knows what they have to do. So there's no stress, right? Everybody knows what the job is, and they get out there and they do it. I'm really proud of that. I'm proud that in an era where people are turning over and leaving jobs and all that, people choose to stay here because they like the work and because they like the environment and because they are treated with respect.
That's beautiful.
I couldn't do this alone. No man can create a successful enterprise on his own. It's impossible. They get the credit. You know, my job, I stand at the front of the boat and say, we're going that way, right?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
They're carrying me.
That's beautiful. What a great story. You mentioned 10 years. Where do you see Cars in the next 5 years from now?
Oh,
Any
it's funny.
goals? Huh?
Funny you should ask. No, that's great. Our goal, we have a big management deal coming up in Nevada, you know, bringing in all the senior people, guest speakers, hype, whoop, whoop. And we're setting the goals for the next 5 years. And in fact, the goals for the next 60 months is to double. We're going to go from 100 to 200 million. And it's not a big ask. It's a 20% a year growth.
Wow.
In fact, the growth gets smaller. I don't need 20% on year 5. You only need about 8%, right?
Okay. There you go.
8% of a bigger volume. And I think they're going to do it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, actually, it is very exciting. And by then, believe me, I will be ready to hang it up.
Pass it on to someone else.
Yeah.
Pass the torch.
Yeah.
That will hopefully continue your legacy and your dream. I think that's great. I mean, that's a good thing to keep in mind, that other people can help you be successful and carry that on for you. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Where are you based, Ray?
I'm in Minnesota. Yeah, in the Midwest. So yeah, there's a lot of times I think about moving. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say I'm down here where the weather is boring and just fine with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Originally, I was born in North Carolina, so I know where it's warm. I lived in California, so I know where it's just beautiful and gorgeous. So on the West Coast, is that weather, man. That's that no humidity. That's amazing.
No bugs.
Yeah.
No mosquitoes. You got kids?
She's grown now. She's 18. Yeah, she's all grown.
Yeah. Well, they think they are at 18 anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, she's still the light of my life, and I'm very proud of her for she's trying to make, the best of what she's got, make life work for her. So many kids feel defeated. I feel like, what's the point of trying? And I'm so proud of her for going out there and trying her best. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's proud of you too.
Thanks. Yeah, I got to keep reminding each other of that. A lot of times time goes by and you get out on that big rig and you're moving. You got to make sure to reach out to your loved ones. Let them know, hey, this is what really matters. This is why I've been doing it, what I've been doing, right? For my loved ones.
Well, isn't that what texting's for?
What's that?
Isn't that what texting's for?
Yeah, they love it. To me, it seems so impersonal. I love the phone call. I love the voice. But for them, they love the text message. That's just like, okay, I can do that. Yeah, it's just not what I'm driving.
Now you're giving your vintage away. You see, that's
yeah. I go back with the phone on the wall. I love that. I mean, with the long cord, you get that long cord, you can stretch it pretty much all over the house.
Dude, the first phone I ever used had a magneto, the crank. You know what that's for, right? You know what that crank is for?
I think he would generate the electricity or something.
Yeah, and it rang the bell at the other end where Sadie was sitting with her board and plugging in the wires. It rang the bell, and she saw where the light came from. She went, "Yeah, what do you want?"
Wow. Yeah, the switchboard job. Man, those are some days, huh? People would sit there and man that board for so long. Yeah, it's changed a
Now
lot.
I can buy a house and pay my mortgage.
Right there. You're right. Buy a house. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only going to get more. They're working on it as we speak. They're coding their little fingers and coding their little hearts out.
That's right. They're going to put one of these things right in here. They're going to cut a little slit. They're going to stick it in there, and they're going to go, "Oh, got reception now." Not only knows where you're going to have to put the other finger. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, where do you see technology going? What are your thoughts on that? You're all for the autonomous truck, or I mean, how do you feel about all these changes?
I have mixed feeling about autonomous trucks, but I do think that we will see. I think we'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, trailer caravans.
Hmm.
At night, in the darker hours, maybe 11 to 5 a.m. Just on the freeways, on the multiple lane freeways, just going up. We'll see trains, we'll see pup tanks being, and I think that's not a bad deal. I do think there should be somebody probably on there for now, but I think we're going that way, and I don't know that it's so bad. I think there'll be less carnage.
Okay.
The software doesn't make the mistakes. But I think once you get off the freeways, I think you're still going to have humans in there doing all that stuff. I don't mind these little guys driving around the little cars and the Waymos and all that sort of stuff. But you put $3 million worth of somebody's material behind you. You got to show that some respect.
Yeah, they are dumping the money into it, and I do too. I have mixed feelings about it as well. So, but yeah, I do like the human factor. Something about that instinct, the feeling, knowing, hey, I know exactly what that is. That's a deer. So,
and I know what, and I know that the deer is scared and confused, and is probably going to stop where they are. Right?
When they see all of that, yeah, because they look up now when the lights come through, and they're like, "What are you doing out here?" I'm eating grass. Yeah, those guys are out there.
Worse, man. It's the elk. The elk. The deer are easy.
Yeah.
The elk. 900-pound elk.
Yeah.
You're going to
get a lot of cows that get loose too. They get loose and they get on the road, and they really stop a semi.
Well, they're 2,000 pounds.
A lot of meat. Yeah. Well, it's good talking with you. I mean, you've done so much. You've inspired me. I'm sure you'll inspire so many others, and your team continue to do such great work there. I appreciate you sharing your journey, showing us how nonprofit leadership isn't just about the one cause. There's so many other causes that they're able to help make a difference in just trucking, but reliability, efficiency, and making every mile count. So thank you so much for sharing that journey. And for anyone who wants to learn more about cars and how to get involved, where would they look? Where would you send them?
Well, they can go to www.careasy.org, careasy.org. And there's tons of information there, including how to reach me personally. If you got a specific question or something, I'll always answer my emails. I even answer my phone, and I'd be more than happy to take your questions. And Ray, I'm humbled. I appreciate you spending your valuable time with me. I've enjoyed being a guest on your show, and I wish you great success and love and success.
Awesome. I mean, humility is a huge part of your game. I think you describe yourself as humbly driven, right?
Well, driven anyway.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And Howard, you have a great rest of the day. And that's all for the show. And that's delivered.
Thank you, sir. You take care. Ciao.
Are you a trucker looking for a safe and reliable place to park? Look no further than Truck Parking Club. With locations across the country, we've got the perfect spot waiting for you, whether it's daily or long-term parking. And right now, use promo code DELIVERED at checkout for an exclusive discount. Reserve your spot today at truckparkingclub.com and drive stress-free knowing your parking is covered.